beautiful people. What's good? It's Guerrilla Tactics.
What's going on? I gotta bend down.
Also in the building. Also in the building. Hey, beautiful people, we in New Haven.
Look at that.
Guerrilla Tactics took it to New Haven.
You in the green now.
We on the New Haven green. I got Oso in the building. I'm gonna be doing an interview with him. Just had to come back to my hometown, you know what I mean? See my good peoples. And we're gonna have a good show. Thank you for tuning in. What up? What's good, baby? Thank you. I appreciate it. See, we got that New Haven love for the Guerrilla Tactics, you know what I'm saying? So, beautiful people, definitely got to tune in. Also, thank you again. Yeah. You about to be on this interview with me, and we about to have a good time. Let's do it. All right. Yeah. 3, 2. Beginning of the secret. Beautiful people, welcome to Guerrilla Tactics, the only place where you create guerrilla warfare to make change. Now, beautiful people, we here once again, and I want to thank all of y'all for all the love you've been showing me in all my videos. But now it's time for these interviews. Now, I got someone here today. I want you to introduce yourself.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Darius Martin, aka Oso the Poet. Nice to meet y'all.
Yo, this is the man right here. Grew up with him. Just to see the development, the way I swear when he was down here, now
it's down here, man. I'm a little small, man, but you know, I grew up now.
Yes, he did, man. I'm proud of him too. You know, he's been doing a lot of great things. He's, like he said, he's a poet, and he's been killing it. Yo, I'm proud of this man. Like, I really tried to groom him, right? So I really tried.
They told me everything you know.
But listen, we're going to definitely get into this. This is called The Melody of Sound, and we actually going to be doing this topic, talking about entrepreneurship, what it means to be a creator, and what it means to also create, and how important it is and how hard it could be sometimes. So, beautiful people, we're going to get right into it. All right, beautiful people, we're going to get into this topic. This is called The Melody of Sound, and we're going to be getting into the aspects of what it means to be an entrepreneur, but also talking about what it means to be an actual creator. So, also, Mr. Oso, the man. I gotta keep doing this because I'm proud.
I want the Mr. part. You sound old.
I take the Mr. I take the Oso. Tell me where you got your name from.
So where I got my name from was I was hanging out with a friend in college, and we were going to a party one night, and we were just chilling. And it was one of those things where like we were getting a little bit into the fun and stuff. We get to this part of the night where it's like we hungry, right? College students at the end of the party, we try and find some food. Right. So we end up going to the Domino's, and like at this point, I'm done. I'm ready to go home. Yeah. So like I'm laying down in this Domino's, like I'm sitting in a chair, I'm slumped, and like my friend, she comes over and she's like, she hugs over, and she's like hovering me, and she's just like, like, oh, you're so warm and all that, and I was just like, I can't really be hugging me like this. Like, so the following morning, I hang out with her again, and she's like, yo, give me your phone. And I'm like, all right. So she puts the information in, and she's like, I have a nickname for all my friends. And, for you, the nickname I want to give you is Oso.
Wow. And that just came off, though.
It came off, and I was just sitting there like, what? Listen, because I know when you're looked at as a bigger person or like a big guy, sometimes they see you as somebody that you could be a bear, like teddy bear type of thing. So like it was one of those things for me where I was just like, all right, word, like Oso, like I like the sound of that.
Yeah, that's deep. That's really deep. It reminded me like back in the day, like when I was in middle school, going up into high school and stuff like that. I was young singing, and when I did my first performance, I did horrible.
You did it for Lil Saint? You did it for...
Yo, I had to, but what happened was I got scared. It was my first time performing, and I didn't really know what to do, and a lot of people were looking up to me, so I kind of got a little frightened by it, and I ended up screwing up. I kid you not, they were throwing milk cartons at me. That's how bad it was. Yo, I walked off embarrassed as all get out, and I said, yo, I cannot go out like that. So I brushed up my craft, I got myself together. I came with a song called LG, it was my first hit song. And before the time that I graduated from that school, they had my song plastered on the top of the school, ready for the people that was coming in, and everybody knew my name.
Nah, that's crazy, bro. With the milk cartons to having his stuff. Bro, that's
serious, man.
I didn't know hate. Listen, I don't say hate. I didn't know that disdain for art went that deep. Like
did.
I've never had
It
milk
did.
cartons thrown at me. Maybe like an insult. Maybe somebody says, I don't really like your work, but like milk cartons.
Milk cartons, man.
Those people.
So that goes into what we were talking about. So he was also from the inspiration of another person, but it fostered into something that became a creation from him. And then now he took that creation and he's now monopolizing on that. That's part of being an entrepreneur. That's building on something that of a foundation that you had. You know what I mean? You may not have fully known where your direction might have been going, but it was already plastic for you. It was right there. It was already being built up for you from the time that you started, even probably before that. Because you always had that high intellect. Like I always told you that from like when you was young, like you was smart as heck.
I try. I feel like
Right.
for you, it's one of those things where like when you surround yourself with people, especially as an entrepreneur, when you surround yourself with people that are like-minded and they actually have the same or similar objectives to you,
Right.
that can help formulate your mind and help you be able to be in a position to do things.
Absolutely.
That would be necessarily like outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
I feel like a lot of times people have this tendency to think that they have to like just go into something and they can just automatically be good at it.
Exactly.
It's like, nah,
Exactly.
It's not how it works.
It's hard work.
Whether it be with entrepreneurship, whether it be with art, creativity, like these are things that take actual time,
Exactly.
practice, and like being able to really have the patience to be like, look,
Exactly.
I'm built for this. I know I'm gonna struggle, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna still come out on top.
That's exactly, and then it's crazy because my last video that I did before this one was called Illusionary Vision. And I was talking about how a person needs to have a vision, like what direction do you want to go. But sometimes you don't know what your vision is, and sometimes you don't notice that you was already in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So me doing guerrilla tactics, I was always giving advice. I was always helping people, but I never knew that it was meant for this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's crazy because of the fact that even the smallest of things that you naturally do, that can be something that can manifest into being your passion.
Exactly.
That's what it was for me
Exactly.
because of the fact that I've only been writing poetry. Like I wrote poetry in my junior year of high school, so that was something where like I never really had the thought to like go ahead and perform it.
Right.
So like when it came down to actually putting it on paper and translating it into words, it was one where it's like I'm always good with conversation. I'm very approachable, so I felt like it was one of those things where like if you add emotion, if you add on to the fact that there are things that you relatively can't say during everyday conversation, that was for me something that became therapeutic.
Okay, cool. And then the beauty behind it is like when you're building on something, like I said, it's all starts from the foundation. Because you gotta think about it, the power comes from the ground and it goes up. That's where it builds. So if you have your foundation solid, even when you don't know what it is, it's still solid because it's something that you're natural with. It's like a second nature to you. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the times when you're building into entrepreneurships, you're actually like a trainer. You know, you're in training and don't even know you're being groomed throughout that time, but it's your life experiences that's taking you there. You know what I mean? So like even with guerrilla tactics, like I was trying to run away from wanting to talk to people and teach people. Like I was good with doing it on the side and with friends and stuff like that, but when it came down to like actually building something out of it, it was a little off-putting to me because I had to figure out where I wanted to go with it. So with me going into that, I wanted to ask you like what got you into really wanting to push towards poetry, and then once you did start pushing, like where do you feel that you started like building blocks on top of it?
I feel like for me it started where just being able to find myself and like knowing who I am as a person. And I felt like there was a period of time where I really did not have like that sense of identity.
Right.
And for me, it was one of those things where I was just like, all right, I need to find my roots, really reestablish who I am as a person, and really kind of let it be something where the poetry was almost an incentive to that because it was able to help build that persona back up.
Right.
Where it was like, I look at it like this. I was able to reinvent myself over the span over a year. Right. I wasn't also last year. I've only been performing for a year.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like the poetry was something where I was able to use not only the feelings I had about myself at the time, but overall just the skills that I had with being able to relate to people, being able to have conversations, being able to relate advice, and seeing as that where it's like for you to be that voice of reason or someone that's saying all of the things that would otherwise put you in like a light where it's like, oh, so who gave you the grounds to say this? I did.
Yeah, exactly.
This is how I feel. This is personally how I feel.
Exactly.
So it was definitely one of those things where like that was something that definitely contributed, and I felt like it was a catalyst for being able to find myself, ground my identity, and really be able to express myself in the way I need to.
And it's funny that you even say that because like it's sad because a lot of young kids, and you're not a kid now, but I'm just saying like when we were all kids,
it was hard for us to even find an identity, because it's as if we wanted to live our life and go through our experiences through our parents. So the identity we were fostering or putting out there was the identity that our parents wanted to see us as. Yeah. So we gave them that, we projected that. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes what happens is that your craft and what you're trying to build and create is going to start to overshadow. So tell us like some of the stuff that you had to go through as a creative and as an artist, you know, through your own creation, and like how hard was it like for you to get to where you are now?
No, in terms of creativity, I really would say, for one, it is not easy to really maintain it because of the fact that it's like a burst. It's like an energy burst. It's like sometimes you have the ability to do something where it's like, you know, I could do this now. Or you have a tendency to be like, I'm going to wait until I feel like doing it.
Right.
With creativity, you can't afford to do that. Right. When creativity comes, you got to seize on it. And once you seize on it, it's one of those things where you're able to create what you want to create in that time frame. But then it's also one of those things where you have to practice it. Yeah. You have to harness it. And it's really one of those things where you have to get into a routine.
Right.
Just trying to like haphazardly or like, you know, occasionally go to it and be like, you know, I'll do it when I want to, or I'll do it. Right. No, that's where something of creativity is going to show you. Like, it's not about your time; it's about what creativity is going to give you.
Right.
So I feel like for me, it was one of those things where trying to come up with a piece, familiarize myself with it in a way where it's like, not only does it represent me and relates to how I personally feel, it's something that, you know, miraculously or, you know, any other sort, it can relate to somebody on a level that it's like, all right, this is something I can identify with.
That's a fact. Right.
And that's something that I feel like a lot of people struggle with, and, you know, trying to have it be something where like creating it is tough, because then you might have people come up to you about certain subjects that you may or may not know about, and you're trying to internalize it how you would feel, and basically try to put those feelings into the work. And it's also one of those things too, where it's like it kind of comes off where the poetry stops being personal. It's more for people. And you want to make sure that you're creating for you, purposely, where you're getting your voice out there and your purpose out there.
Okay. So like, what was one of the hardest things for you, at least currently, like, for your own craft, that's something that you're trying to build on or enhance and make better?
I would say time, right? You know, you definitely have a lot of things going on. Life is going to happen. And I feel like a lot of things that you don't plan for do happen. And it's really one of those things where when you have the ability to make the time, or if you really, really are invested in the craft and you really want to do this, you're going to make the time. It's something that you really have to check yourself on and understand that you may have to make sacrifices. You have to take time. You have to be able to say, yo, I can't go to this meeting, or yo, I can't go to this hangout. I got to rehearse. I got to practice. Because these are things that you have to be able to, factor in when you want to be either the best at what you do. If you want to be just good at what you do, you got to be able to do these things. And you got to be able to make these sacrifices. Because at the end of the day, one of the hardest things that plagues an artist is procrastination. Procrastination is the biggest catalyst to defeating any type of creativity or whatever you want to do. Procrastination. If you procrastinate and you just put time off, or you basically just keep putting that project off and say, I'm going to get to it when I get to it, you're not going to get to it. It's going to be a minute.
It's facts. And people pleasing.
People pleasing as well.
Honest, like,
you definitely have a tendency to people please, even if you feel like you don't. You do. Especially when it comes to art, because you're thinking about it like, yo, I wonder if the people are going to like this. Yo, I wonder if they're going to relate to my verses. I wonder if they're going to... That doesn't matter.
No, I don't.
That's what happens whether or not you want to or not. They're going to relate to it whether they want to or not. And that's something that's no longer in your control. You can only control the external in that sense.
The master now. The students turn to the master. That's what's up, man. I barely said a word. He said it all. But now you're completely right. Like, honestly, like, when it comes down to you wanting to build something, it has to be entirely from who you are, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, in my own experiences, me dealing with my family and my mom, stuff like that, it kind of put a damper on the things that I wanted to do, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to go to Berkeley of music in New York, which I was actually gonna go to, but she didn't want me to go there. She wanted me to go to a different college. She didn't think that what I was doing was something that I can make into something. So she wanted me to be a nurse. She wanted me to do this. She wanted me to do that. So here I am trying to dip and dab here. But music and this is my passion. And I know I could do something with this.
That's the thing. Support is also one of those things too. But like, you are not, if you expect it from your friends and your family, like, I'm here to tell you right now, it's not going to be something that's guaranteed. All right, they fooled you, right? They like you as a person. But when it comes to actually
yeah.
supporting your craft, supporting what you do, there are very, very few people that will do that.
Oh, yeah.
So you really got to prepare yourself to, you know, accept the fact that you're not going to get that support.
No,
You're not going to get those people that are going to be like, yo, your work is, you know, impactful, or your work is like, they got to volunteer that of their own volition. And that's something where if you pander for it, or if it's one of those things where you go seek it, it almost comes off like you're looking for them to validate you.
Right.
You don't need their validation.
You don't need validation.
You don't need people to tell you whether or not your work is good. If you feel like it's your purpose, it's your story is as good as anybody else's.
Anybody else's. And it's going to build, you know what I mean? Like, you might think that you're starting at a certain low, but you're really actually up there, you know what I mean? And actually, you're very courageous. And the reason why I say that is because it takes a lot for you to open up, put yourself out there, and show people exactly who you are, you know what I'm saying? We barely could do that in a normal conversation, let alone through our work, you know what I mean?
I feel that, bro. Like,
yeah,
true.
like,
Public speaking was also one of those things for me where I was like, yo, I was terrified of public speaking, bro.
Man,
I hated it. So it was really one of those things where I really had to practice and really get comfortable with people looking at me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, normally when you are having conversations in regular, you know, daily life, a lot of times people interrupt you, they talk over you, and you know, you may feel as though it's something where like talking may not be something you want to do as much.
Exactly.
But like,
you know?
when you have a position where you're able to not only say what's on your mind, but people have to sit there and listen to you without interruption, without talking over you, without saying you're wrong. Like, they have to take whatever you're saying for what it is, and they interpret it however they want to. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying, you're gonna listen to. You're gonna hear me say this stuff, and you have no choice but to
exactly. It reminded me of like Eminem. Like, Eminem had said in one of his songs, it was actually the Stan song, where he was talking about what is he was trying to say versus what Stan was perceiving, you know, versus receiving, my bad, what he was receiving, you know what I'm saying? So what ended up happening was like Stan and him thinking that, oh, well, we bond in this area, maybe I should be this crazy, maybe I should just let it out, but that was his truth. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe I've been off-putting to everyone else because it was a little out there, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta remember that a lot of us, we all cut from the same cloth. There's that part of us on the inside that's just sitting there like wanting that exception, wanting that love, wanting that support, wanting that, you know, all of that. They might be a little out there and outrageous about it, but they're in the same position that we are. And that's where it becomes a beauty when it comes down to poetry. Because in poetry, you're like painting that picture. You're allowing us to see what it is that you see through your eyes. And then we create our own realizations from there, you know what I mean? So like, what was one of your favorite pieces that you ever created? Like, at least from the start, that it just caught you, or just like, boom.
I would say Misunderstood would be a piece for me, because of the fact that was one of those things where I feel like a lot of times you can be the most understanding person in the world, but somehow still be misunderstood. And what I mean by that is that you can be misunderstood in any regard, being your behavior, what you think, what you speak. And a lot of times it can kind of feel as though thinking with your own mind and formulating your own opinions can kind of come off like, what are you doing speaking truth in this thing? What are you doing putting logic into emotional situations? Like, so those are things for me where, like, when I created that piece, it was one of those things where I actually was able to not only write how I felt about being misunderstood, it was one where it's not catered to one specific thing or one specific gender, right? Because I feel like a lot of times we tend to make it a man or a woman issue, or, you know, somebody else's problem. But at the end of the day, it's the shoe that fits, right? It's always somebody that, you know, if you fit the criteria and I'm talking about you, and you feel like it's something that you know, it strikes a nerve with you, then that's good, because of the fact that you need to realize and identify these things within yourself. Because a lot of times people go oblivious to the things that they do. They do things subconsciously. And they really don't feel as though there's anything wrong with it. They feel as though it's something where it's like, this is just who I am. But it's like, that's fine. That could be who you are. But that doesn't mean people have to be accepting of that. It doesn't mean that people are going to understand you in that. And one of the things that I feel like is also a quote that I also like, you know, attributing, is that to be great is to be misunderstood.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of times you're not going to find people that are going to relate to or have a same level of understanding that you may have. And that's okay.
It is.
You gotta leave the people where they at.
Right. That's it. And that's what it becomes like. It becomes very, very tough sometimes, because what ends up happening is, like, a lot of times in life, like, you're going on the direction and the path that you're going, but we also bring people with us. You know what I'm saying? So where your mindset is here, and you knowing exactly what you're trying to build and how you're building it, that individual sees something different. So it becomes that clash when now you see this, and this is where you're gun for. This is what you're believing in. This is what you're seeing, and that's the process that you want to go. But this person sees another thing. So now you have to find that correlation now, because it's personal versus what you're trying, your dream, your passion.
Yep.
So a lot of times when building and creating, it goes through that same process. So here I am trying to create this story. I want you to picture what it is that I'm saying and what I'm thinking about in my head. But it's kind of like two different sides of a tape that you're looking at, right? You have digital movies that we watch now where you get the full picture.
Yep,
but then
everything.
olden days, back when they had the little frames, you're only getting bits and pieces. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the creation begins to foster itself. Legends, mythologies, all that came from that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you guys know that I love I love gods. You know, I'm gonna talk about God. This is what I do. Any of y'all, I'm not trying to push nothing on y'all. That's for y'all. But I just gotta say what I gotta say, my piece. You know what I mean? So, you know, it says in the word to come as you are. You know what I mean? But when it tells you to come as you are, it doesn't say that you were supposed to stay that way. You know what I mean? So whereas I walked into the church with dirties and rags, and I may not know who I was, I may not know where I want to go and what direction I'm supposed to be pulled to. By the time that I understand God and trying to build myself with Him and build myself within myself, I now come out in a different light.
Yeah.
So now you might see me coming out with a tie or a suit on. You might see me coming out with a little more flaws. You know what I'm saying? It's not because I'm now changing who I was and forgetting where I was coming from. That's me embracing where I came from and me now elevating. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I feel like a lot of times people have this thing where they hold on to, where they fixate on a person that you used to be, or they met you as, that it's almost impossible for them to perceive you being anything other than what you are at that moment. It's crazy. Because I feel like a lot of times people have that tendency to really kind of look at you and be like, oh, so when you start doing poetry, you said you could start doing all that. When you start being so brave, when did you start doing all this?
Right.
When I decided to actually change things about myself, when I decided to self-improve, when I decided to, you know, not stay stagnant in the personality or the persona that I am. Because at the end of the day, we're supposed to evolve, we're supposed to change, we're supposed to grow. If you're staying in a certain place, or if you're staying in a certain mindset forever, or it's one of those things where, like, you know, you're just gonna continue to feel this way or think this way, life's gonna pass you by.
That's it.
There are plenty of dudes that have certain situations that, like, they complain about it, they bellyache and they blink and they 30 sitting on the couch not doing nothing, basically complaining about how the world treated them unfairly or how society didn't give them a fair shake, which they haven't, but it's all about what you do about that. You gotta find ways to work around that. You gotta be able to survive. Because unfortunately, it's one of those things where we are in a system where you have to survive.
You have to. You have to start building your building blocks from early. You know what I'm saying? But the sad part is that a lot of parents don't teach their kids that. I wasn't taught that. I mean, I was in the system full-heartedly. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't a time for me to have anyone teach me anything. You know what I'm saying? So I had to figure it out. But the thing is that once you see it, you gotta now start to believe in yourself and know what it is you have to do to get yourself up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same way with dealing with spirituality. If you see them, they not see you. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same process when you're starting to build. Look where we at right now. We're not known like that, right? We're gonna eventually start being known. They're gonna start seeing us like, oh, I know who that is.
I watched your attack. This is going on. Like, oh, this is outside the pop.
It's crazy, man. Like, and it's right now I'm having like a nostalgic feeling, and I'm not trying to make you seem mad young or anything like that, but you know what I'm saying? I was mentoring this dude, like, you know what I'm saying? Yo, it's just mind blowing to see where you came from, not just, you know, in the physical aspect of who you are, but at the same time your intellect, your mind, your wisdom, where you're taking yourself and where you want to pull yourself. So, like, tell me, like, when it comes down to the poetry, like, where do you see yourself pulling this? What you want to do with that?
So, it's interesting because of the fact that I founded a poets collective. It's called Transcribers. And, you know, the premise behind the founding of it was I wanted to be able to bridge the gap in stories with people that are from Connecticut, right? You know, being able to have those stories kind of relate to everybody and kind of signify that we all go through similar, if not the same experience, based off of the demographic we come from, right? I feel like a lot of states, you know, in this country have like something that makes them bond or makes them kind of be one of those things. But when it comes down to it, they're together. Like New York,
it's a fact.
like, you know, all those places.
That's a fact.
You know, those are the places that I feel like those are cities, but you know, those are places where again you have the culture that is established, and those are cultures that came from the city coming together and being able to relate to their stories and struggle, or whatever various experience they've had. So I feel like with CT, there's three things that it's like it's really just death, taxes, and retirement. Period. So when you really want to have that fourth underlying element, it's art.
Yeah,
and art is one of those things where I feel like CT has a lot of that, and I feel like for poetry, it's one of those things where if you're able to create stories or share these stories, you're able to kind of put these together in a way where it connects the dots. And I feel like for us, the Transcribers, we want to be able to release a book that has a compilation of these poems or these stories that signify or represent their particular area, their background, how they came up. And for a person that's coming from either one of those areas, I have a person that's from Hartford, that's a person from New Britain, in those areas, you have those stories that another person reading that can be like, yo, I know this place, or yo, I know this feeling, or yo, I know what it's like to be in this state, I know what it's like to kind of do this.
That's a fact.
So it's one of those things for me. I want to be able to give a platform for poets to not only create and share their stories, but also be able to be able to meet other poets and really form those bonds. Because I feel like the poetry community is built off of the principle of love, family, and just respect and being able to share your stories.
That's a
so
fact.
it's really one of those things where if I'm able to contribute to that and continue to uphold those same principles and really kind of mirror that for the next wave of people that are going to be like me in this position doing that, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah, and beautiful people, listen, I'm going to keep in contact with him. So what's going to happen is, with your permission, I'm going to post it up on my gram and everything else that I have to pretty much push this forward, because honestly, we need to start coming together. You know what I'm saying? That's why I built Guerrilla Tactics in the first place. Guerrilla Tactics is so that we can have a conversation. One of the things that we lack the most inside of our society is the ability to converse with each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we have understandings. That's why we have wars. We have fights, and we fighting from the inside. Forget the outside. You know what I mean? And we have so much depth going on because nobody understands anybody anymore because we're all segregated.
Or they choose not to sometimes.
Yeah,
they don't choose to listen to what they know and what they've been taught.
You know what I mean? And the beauty behind life is that we're all here to grow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know no more than anybody else. Nope. He doesn't know no more than anybody else. We're probably in the same boat that you guys are in. The only difference is that we want to stand above the water. We're not trying to sink.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We want to be able to have that conversation, because I feel like a lot of times people tend to stray away from conversations that are too difficult.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's one of those things where it's just like, well, there's no real, solution, or it's not a feasible solution. So what are we going to talk about?
Right.
No, you still need to have these conversations. These still are issues in the world prevalent that warrant conversation.
Right.
And it's one of those things where the longer you prolong it or the longer you kind of evade it, the longer you're continuously find yourself in situations that either A, continuously hammer home why it's an issue, or B, why you don't want to talk about it and you feel as though there is no solution to it.
Right, and then we're wondering why we have so many young kids that's coming into this world, but then losing life too young, you know what I'm saying? Because of suicide, or because they in the wrong crowds, or they got on the wrong type of drug, or whatever the case is. All that comes from a root, you know what I'm saying? And if we're not tackling and pulling it from that root, we're never going to be able to figure out what the problem is, you know what I'm saying? So we have to be honest, we have to be raw with each other, we have to keep it real with each other, we have to have these tough conversations, especially when it's hard, the hardest.
Oh yeah.
We gotta have that conversation.
Absolutely.
We can't run from it because they're not listening. Oh, they're not getting it. We're not seeing eye to eye. No, let's talk. Mm-hmm. You might have a different view than me, but I want to hear it. Mm-hmm. I want to know why you think the way that you do. As much as I want you to know why I feel the way that I feel. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And if we do that, and we come with respect, and we come with love, and we come with understanding,
compassion, if you actually really want to be able to not try to be holier than thou, but really kind of put someone on and really kind of give them free game, and that's where the genuine conversation can really begin. Because I feel like that's also another struggle people have, is that they feel as though they have to change a person's mindset instantly on the spot. That's not how that works. All right, like if they were having that level of just being told a certain thing for a certain amount of time, it's not going to be something where they're going to be able to just instantly on the spot be like, you know what, I'm wrong, right? And it's something that gradually takes place over time. So I feel like it's one of those things where you can't necessarily give up on people. You can't necessarily say that, something where it's like, nah, they're a lost cause, because those are the moments where they need you the most. Those are moments when people, you know, are really in the down and out position where they really feel as though they have nobody to kind of lean on them.
Yeah.
That's when you kind of be, you know, that person, right?
That's a fact.
And it's one of those things where I feel like it's also the mentality with people where it's like it has to be somebody, but it can't be me. And it's like I feel like that's kind of a mindset where it's like I can kind of understand it, but at the same time you also have to understand that the person on the other end is kind of seeing that and they're already thinking like that. They're already feeling as though, look, people don't want to be burdened with my problems. People don't want to be burdened with my responsibilities and stuff like that. They don't want to be responsible for me.
Right.
But somebody has to be responsible.
Right.
I want somebody to be responsible.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, beautiful people, before we continue, I just wanted to let you guys know I'm starting this thing called Spotify Live. Spotify Live is for all those individuals who want to talk about these hard topics, who are poets, who are just innovators, who want to talk, who just got feelings that they want to express or just want to vent, and whatever the case is. Come to my Spotify Live. It's going to be at Guerrilla Tactics, and that's where you guys can full-on talk to me back and forth. That's what we having a conversation and so on and so forth. We're going to have so many different people that's going to be on, who's going to be sharing their opinions and sharing their thoughts and their feelings on what they feel like life should be like and all this other different type of stuff. So please, guys, if you haven't hit that bell yet, subscribe, like, and comment my video.
And hit the bell.
And hit that bell. Like,
Hit the bell like he hit his hat.
listen,
Right?
hit that bell because we're going to be coming back with more bangers. And it's going to keep on coming and keep on coming. And I'm going to keep having him on the show because this man is amazing. Like, it's great. So I got to, you know, we're coming to the near and the end. You know what I'm saying? We got 28 minutes. You know we got to hear a little something now. Like, all right, definitely.
I got you.
So you got something prepared?
Yeah, I got something prepared.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Sure. Whew. So this piece is called Trees, and I want you guys to, you know, kind of listen a little bit, and you may be able to understand where I was coming from for it. So. I guess you can say I've loved trees from an early age. Sitting on my porch, I would inhale the smell of leafy foliage, with a paper for my thoughts and a pen to roll with. Back when I used to pick up the pieces of everyone's mess, I used the trees as a relief from the internalized stress. A gift from Mother Nature easing the heaviness of my breath. A place for me to rest when my mind was a cluttered mess. It was the best. But as I got older, I started to smell the flowers. The aroma of maple leaves now mixed with something sour. The euphoria of feeling free, leaving me stuck for hours and believing the trees to be my source of creative power. Now the impact would be slow, and it began from within. But soon my love for trees would shape out all of my friends. I started shedding my sense of innocence, not having to pretend, and entertaining the thought of never writing again. So I did.
Right.
I put the pen down and I picked up another one. I heard my mom's in my head asking me, "What are you doing, son?" Back when the breeze from oak trees used to inhabit my lungs, now inhales of stronger winds from the other end of a blunt. And it was fun.
Word.
My freshman year would be a prologue of what had yet to come. Getting high and watching marathons until being greeted by the sun. And just when I told myself, "Hi, bro, I'm done," I'm seduced by the following words. Yo, I wrote another one. And another one. Until I couldn't control myself. As the demons I would develop began to bully my mental health, I retreated to the darkness, crawling back into my shell. As I trudged lightly on the path of my own personal hell, I asked myself, well, was it worth it? Did taking leaves from those trees help build our sense of purpose when all that it did was make me a different person? Someone you couldn't recognize, donning the odorous mask to hide the pain in my eyes, and no wonder it took so long for me to realize that inhaling those trees was the only time I felt alive. Back was wrapped in papers became my newest chaser, for failing on my classes and my father losing his patience, lamenting about his struggles and the time that he was wasting, and wishing I could go back to when the difficulty was facing.
Right.
I was constantly feeling stressed.
Right.
Didn't know whether it was the trees or the pursuit of this degree causing the pain in my chest, because now life was really on my ass. And with questioning whether it was worth going to class came the fear of failure chasing me to those woods like Jason. Those trees no longer protected me from the problems I've been facing. What came from the pressure on my head making me want to shout came a soft whisper from the trees telling me to
Wow.
maybe I should. But the temptation is so strong, making me wish that I could. I started talking to a therapist and it helped do me some good, but don't get it twisted. I'm still smoking my woods. So as I sit on my porch, surrounded by the green, I inhale the strong winds that are produced by the trees.
Wow. That was fire. Yo, and the delivery, you did that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very
That
much.
was nice. Wow. Wow. You got another one for us?
Yeah, I got another one for you.
All
So
right, I got you.
this next one kind of is centered around the current ongoing issue that we continuously evade, and that is the mistreatment and or the killing of black people. Unfortunately, we had the Buffalo Massacre not too long ago, and I feel like people kind of didn't really focus on that as much as they should, and it's really one of those things where it continues to be an issue. So this next piece is kind of centered around the question of what will it take for people to kind of really enact the change. So the doors slide open, and cool air greets your neck as the employees made their statements. If only it was a drill. The squeaking of wheels, sounds of scanning, and customers catching deals overshadows the ordeal because the blood had yet been spilled. The ominous presence enters. As his pent-up aggression at the thought of his people being replaced left him enraged, he engaged in racial warfare. Only the combatants weren't aware of their enemy. They didn't know an evil entity had entered their space to delete them from their existence. Which begs the question, how can a politician's persistence to maintain their own intentions be put over the lives of everyday civilians? How do they view their position? How many hearts must break? And just what will it take? What will it take for us to dismantle the system, if not force, and if equality is the chosen currency, that our hustle to block and wage wars? For a country where if you black them for doors ain't chores, and bruised egos get stroked while you down on all fours.
Oh no.
What will it take? For the senseless violence that they exercise, the killing of my people quickly becoming fetishized, oh the thrill they must feel from taking black lives, and after every not guilty, another part of us dies. So what will it take? It will take the blood of black children fighting for liberties they were never afforded, but being expected to have the faith that their efforts will be rewarded. It will take being the good boy as black bodies stock the shelves of your local grocery store, and where a white man can live stream a hate crime while someone has the audacity to say, we don't need gun reform. It will take the heart of a people who have run out of patience from the many empty promises and practice PR statements. It will take generations of parents apologizing for the way things are with the phrase, it is what it is. Yo. Excuse me, hold on.
Wow.
I had to run that one back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me. I'll take the heart of a people who fought all their lives to survive in a space that they merely adapted to, even if the value of our lives are subtracted to. Hold on, I lost my thought.
It's all right.
Hold on. I know I have this last part down. So, forgot it.
It's all right. Listen. First of all, the delivery was phenomenal. That I was feeling it. I was really jumping in my seat because it was definitely highlighting what the problems that we're going through, and you're not hiding it. And the honest part is he's also kind of, in a way, bullying the thought process of us trying to hide it. And I like that because a lot of times when we try to shelter, sometimes you have to break those barricades open. You know what I'm saying? Listen, stop hiding. There ain't no time for that. You're gonna tell me exactly what you say. You know what I mean? But that's what it is. But listen, beautiful people, thank you so much for joining the Guerrilla Tactics. Also, thank you so much for coming in on this interview. This is great. Thank you. We have to keep on working together. I'm gonna definitely be promoting you, putting you up there, so on and so forth. If you want to be a regular, let me know. You know it's free for you no matter what.
That's what killed me, bro. I know what I wanted to say, but I can't say.
I know that last line.
It's always one of those things where I also wanted to put it out there for people who are performers. It's kind of like this thing where you enter a zone in a way, where it's the words kind of just flow, and that's based off of, again, how much you said it, how much you really believe it, and it's really one of those things where it's this is your story, and you don't want to speed through it, you don't want to talk over, or you don't basically blow by it. You want to take your time. So definitely, I'm mad I don't know it right now, but trust me, next time if y'all see me anywhere else, y'all gonna get that call 100%.
That's a fact. But listen, guys, thank you so much again. Also, thank you. Definitely gonna have you on the show again. You are an inspiration to a lot of people out here. You may not see it fully yourself yet, but they seeing it. And somebody's out there watching and yo, that's the dude. Yo, he don't even know how much I look up to him, but I look up to this man for real. It's out there. Trust me. And I'm proud of you, man. Just pushing for your dreams and doing, you're doing everything that I envisioned that you would. I swear on everything. I have so much high hopes for you. And you had them for yourself. You know what I mean? And keep doing that. And if you need me, you know I'm here. You know what I mean? So beautiful people, again, thank you. I know I said that like 3 times, but other than that, check out my Instagram. That's where you're gonna get a lot of my promos, so on and so forth. Also is now on the team, so I'm gonna have him on the Instagram as well, so you guys can see his artistry. At the same time, I'll put up the flyers that you're putting up as well, so that you guys can go and check them out for yourself in person. I definitely gotta go check them out in person as well.
June 15th, there is a slam on 330 State Street. So please, if you want to pop out, see some poetry, you want to see me live, please pop out to that.
Please pop out. I might definitely make it my business to be out there as well. And check out my Instagram again. Get on the Spotify Live. Also, should be on there as well. You know, we can have you back on there talking, so on and so forth. And we thank you so much, and God bless. Yeah. Life just moves on. All right. Yeah. 3, 2. The beginning of the secrets to the life that you needed. Looking in my own eyes, knowing I couldn't defeat it. All the feelings of my soul, all my thoughts untold. Looking for the road leading to the streets of gold, and now